Witam serdecznie wszystkich. Nazywam się Dominik Węglarz. W Altcomie jestem trenerem odpowiedzialnym za technologię VMware, ale również za kwestie bezpieczeństwa. Prowadzę szkolenia między innymi z etycznego hackingu i naszym partnerem tutaj jest oczywiście dostawca tego szkolenia, firma EC Council, i dzisiaj gościmy reprezentanta tej firmy, Simona Hunta, który oczywiście w wersji angielskojęzycznej przedstawi Wam pokrótce, czym się zajmuje EC Council, co ma w ofercie swojej. Dużą część z tych rzeczy będzie można u nas realizować. Na razie w tej chwili mamy szkolenia w ofercie 3, lada moment się pojawi Certified Secure User Computer, takie szkolenie dedykowane dla użytkowników końcowych. Mamy w planach w tym roku być może jeszcze wprowadzić szkolenia związane z bezpieczeństwem od strony nie ofensywnej, a defensywnej, też certyfikowane przez EC Council, i nawet będziemy w stanie, jeżeli by tacy chętni byli, spróbować zorganizować wyższe szkolenia niż cech, bo szkolenie cech samo w sobie jest szkoleniem takim wprowadzającym w arkana bezpieczeństwa od strony ofensywnej. Nie jest to szkolenie dedykowane stricte dla pentesterów, bo jeżeli ktoś już jest pentesterem, to raczej tą wiedzę ma, może przyjść na szkolenie, jak najbardziej zapraszamy. Po pierwsze po voucher na egzamin, po drugie po usystematyzowanie tego wszystkiego, tej wiedzy, natomiast dedykowanym wyższym szkoleniem, bardziej merytorycznie, technicznie zaawansowanym, będzie szkolenie CEPEN. Na razie go nie mamy w ofercie, ale jeżeli byliby chętni, sądzę, że bylibyśmy w stanie w jakimś tam sensownym czasie to nawet spróbować zorganizować z trenerami, którzy już są przygotowani do prowadzenia tego typu szkoleń. I nie będę zabierał Simonowi Huntowi więcej czasu, bo teraz będzie jego część. Simon, I did a quick introduction, and now your turn. Welcome on the board.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dominic. Thank you for that introduction, and welcome everybody. Thank you for taking the time out for our webinar today. I hope you're all safe and well in these difficult times. As Dominic said, I'm going to run through with you some a little bit more sort of in-depth information around EC Council, and we're going to dive a little bit deeper into the CEH program and the differences between what was the version 10 and what is now version 11. Okay, so without further ado, as I said, introduction to ourselves. We'll also visit the other EC Council tracks, just to notify you, just so that you are aware of all the different tracks and certification programs that we hold. Also with the in-depth review of CH version 11, and then we're going to have a very quick look at sort of the security landscape and what do things look like out there at the moment. So for those of you that may not know, EC Council have been around for over 15 years now. We have over 40 different training and certification programs, and to date we have certified well over 300,000 members. We operate on a 3-pillar approach where we have our people, which is our certification and training program. We have the process part of the business. So we have our own consultancy program where we have individuals that are trained and certified and knowledgeable, not just in EC Council, but also other worldwide certifications ranging from ISO to PCI DSS and various other acclamations. We also have a technology piece where we also extend the certification and the learning process to phishing, vishing, and smishing and security awareness training by way of our Aware platform technology. And we also have a continuous learning platform, which is our Code Red. It is a subscription based and covers technology from InfoSec to networking, cloud computing, and web development. Anybody interested in those particular areas, please connect with Dominic, who'll be happy to provide further information for you. Here is a very interesting slide. These companies all have individuals that have gained EC Council certification. Some very big global companies on there. So, you know, the CEH and EC Council certifications is a very much in demand certification globally within the industry. One of the reasons is we have some very key endorsements from the likes of the US, from the UK, GCHQ, and we're also working with other bodies and other governments globally to obtain similar sort of approvals. So this particular one comes from the US, and it's through their Department of Defense. And this mandate, the 8570 mandate, dictates that anybody wishing to work for the United States Department of Defense must have a minimum of these certifications. And EC Council are very proud to have 4 of our certifications on that mandate. So what does this mean for the US DoD? What does this mean for you as an individual looking at taking your CEH? It means that the US government and the Department of Defense have looked at the content of our material, the training methodologies and the exams, and they have basically stated that this is the kind of knowledge and experience of people and individuals that they want protecting the US, protecting the Department of Defense. And as I said, we have 4 of our certifications on this mandate: our CND, our CEH, our CHFI, which is our hacking and forensics investigation, and our CISO program. I will go into a little bit of detail on those other programs a little bit further on. And as mentioned, obviously, we do also have certification and approval from the UK government, from GCHQ, on our training courses as well. So what are the tracks? What are the courses that you can take from EC Council? So this is our new VAPT, which is our Vulnerability Assessment and Penetration Testing track. Okay. It's designed to build on an individual's existing knowledge and experience and other certifications that they may have, such as Cisco, Microsoft, etc. It starts with our CND, which is the Certified Network Defense. And in effect, the CND is like the cousin, the defensive cousin of CEH. I'm sure that you're familiar with, or that you know, the Certified Ethical Hacker program. You know, it's all about red teaming, exploits, and ethical hacking. The CND is all about the defensive, the blue teaming side of things. So that's the start of this particular track. We go on to the CEH, and then the newly released CPENT, the Certified Pen Tester. This is something that we brought out at the tail end of last year. An extremely involved and lengthy course and exam. It's a 24-hour exam. So once you take CPENT, you will be recognized globally as, one of the most talented and certified pen testing individuals out there on the marketplace. So you can see there that there are 3 certifications, but those 3 certifications programs can actually lead to 5 certifications. And there's one on there that's missing. And I'm going to show you that one. Here we have the CEH, which is a knowledge exam. Okay, it's 4 hours and it's multiple choice. So once you've gone through the course material, you then sit the exam, and you will be asked 125 questions, and you'll be presented with 4 possible answers. One of them will be correct. So once you pass that exam, you are demonstrating that you have that knowledge and that you have the ability to recall that knowledge at that point in time. How do you prove that you can apply that knowledge in a practical manner? That's where the CEH practical exam comes into play. There are no questions. It is a 6-hour exam with 20 challenges for you to complete. So within that exam, you are taking the knowledge that you've learned and gained and were tested in your CEH exam, and you will be applying that in a practical manner. Okay. Once you pass that, you will then be awarded your CEH Master certification. Okay. So as an example, here's an example of the knowledge exam. So, which among the following protocols does an attacker target? Okay. SMB. Yeah. So you're given 4 possible answers. It's up to you to recall that knowledge and answer it correctly. Okay. So how does the practical challenge differ? Well, from here, you're given the answers. Okay. When you go through to the practical exam, this is what you are presented with. So you will need to know and understand that you need to identify, you need to look at the SMB, you need to know which port to scan for that server. So by having that knowledge and information, you then off you go, you go to the platform and you access the challenge and you go through that scenario. So you actually perform the task. You don't just sit there and answer a question. So it's testing your practical skill sets. So that's how the knowledge exam is then followed and built upon with the practical exam. We do have other certifications, which I'll go on to shortly, but I'm going to pop back to the CPENT, because with the CPENT exam, as I said earlier, it's a 24-hour exam. You can choose to split it into 2 12-hour exams. Now, once you sit the exam, if you pass with 70% or above, you will be awarded your CPENT certification with your certificate. Now, to prove that you truly are a master, if you pass that same exam with a score of 90% or more, not only will you be awarded with your CPENT certification, but also you'll be awarded the license penetration testing certificate. Why? Because you have proven that your knowledge and experience within that particular skill sets is exceptional, 90% or above. So that's how 3 programs can deliver 5 certifications. There are other programs. We have our cyber forensics. So for those that are interested in forensics, incident handling, etc., we have our CHFI and ECIH. For those that want to do blue teaming, defense, we have our network defense and operations track. Again, all building on that core knowledge from the CND. So we can look at disaster recovery. We can look at incident handling. Okay. Moving on, we then also have our software security. So there's a lot of people interested in programming, and it's one thing to build an application, etc., but it's another thing to build it securely. Traditionally, programmers were given a task: develop and build me this program, this application. Programmers will go out and build it, then it will be tested, and then obviously they would look at closing vulnerabilities and possible exploits. Now the goal is to train these software engineers, these programmers, application builders to do it correctly and securely from the outset. This slide shows a huge number of data breaches. Some of them, obviously, you will recognize the names, Facebook, Marriott Hotels, Twitter, Microsoft. This is a selection, a small selection of recent data breaches. How were these breaches? How were these performed? Any number of ways, too numerous to mention. So how can you, as a holder of CEH, how can you defend against this plethora of attacks? Well, there's many number of ways, and there's a very sort of familiar saying as a good defense is a strong offense. Now, with that in mind, how can CEH help your companies defend against such attacks? Well, by recognizing how to perform session hijacking, how SQL injection works, how to perform denial of services, for example, will allow you to be able to defend those loopholes, those vulnerabilities, those exploits, because if you can find them, you can shut them, you can close them, you can reduce the attack vector that these cyber criminals are looking to exploit within your networks. For example, why do organizations recruit ethical hackers? Well, it's to look at their infrastructure, to prevent the real hackers from gaining access, to uncover those vulnerabilities. To be an ethical hacker, you have to think like a criminal, think like a hacker. How could I gain access? Your job role will be to safeguard your customers' data by, employing all of these techniques that you've learned within the CEH program to defend against those particular types of attacks. How do they perform these attacks? How do they go about? Well, Lockheed Martin came up with a term called the cyber kill chain many years ago. It was actually taken from the military, from the defense. That there is a kill chain for strategic warfare. And what we've looked at is aligning the ethical hacking phases with the cyber kill chain. So if you look on the left, you'll see 5 phases: the reconnaissance, the scanning, the gaining access. And if you look at the cyber criminal side of the coin, the cyber kill chain, they too will be doing the reconnaissance. Why? Because they're looking for the vulnerabilities. They're looking for possible exploits. Once they've found them, they'll weaponize them. Once they've weaponized them, they will look to deliver them. Okay, so as an ethical hacker, your role will be to do the same, to do the reconnaissance, look at finding those vulnerabilities, okay, scanning the systems, okay, looking to gain access, and then looking at maintaining that access and the ability to clear your tracks. Only then will you be able to, once you understand that, it's at that point you will be able to defend against those attacks, because by finding those vulnerabilities, you can patch them, you can cover them, you can put process in place to mitigate those risks. And only by going through the CEH program and learning those abilities will you be able to look at that cyber kill chain and be able to cut the cyber criminals off. We're going to look now in a little bit more depth on the CEH version 11. It's a very wordy slide, so I'm not going to go through it in its entirety, but I will pick out a couple of things to point out. So the number of labs that we've increased to 200. So a lot of the material that we provide within the program is geared towards practical experience. It's one thing having the knowledge going through the CH program and being able to recall that knowledge, but obviously, you need to be able to apply that knowledge in a practical manner. So that's where the iLabs come in, and that's something that Dominic, as you well know, will be demonstrating for you a little bit later on. So the total number of new labs is 93. We've increased the number of attack techniques because, the world is much, much more distributed now. At the beginning of last year, EC Council as a company had 5 or 6 global offices. But towards the end of last year, one of our directors turned around and said, we now have 300 or 400 offices. Well, how did he work that out? Well, every single employee, well, pretty much most employees, are now working from home. So the attack vectors are massively increased. So, we need to recognize and look at those attack techniques, look at those attack vectors. Okay. Again, another wordy slide. I'm not going to go through it in great detail, but I will pick out some key points. Social engineering techniques, obviously with the distributed networks and home offices, obviously that's a very important technique to look at. There are increasingly different types of footprinting and footprinting tools, along with the standard vulnerability analysis and how to identify. So some of these features are very key to the CEH program, and they build upon these toolbox of kits that you will have within your arsenal to be able to look at defending by attacking your own networks. So I have a Word document which is about 60 pages, which details all the additional modules or the additional domains within the modules. I obviously don't have the time to go through that with you. So I've just listed here some really important ones that I think is very relevant especially for today. We've discussed the cyber kill chain concepts. There's a huge amount of new information within there, gathering information, the different techniques, the different ways and methodologies. OSINT framework, looking at the different ways to gain information. And very importantly, OT and IoT. That's a huge area, and that's very sort of buzzword at the moment. Everybody's bringing out, everyone's connecting their devices to the internet, and obviously once you connect something to the internet, it then becomes exploitable. So looking at how can those be exploited, what are the vulnerabilities, how can they be closed, how can they be hacked. Cloud hacking as well. There's been an enormous shift over the last few years to cloud computing. Everybody's moving their data, their networks, their platforms up into the cloud. So we need to understand how the security in the cloud works, how it's vulnerable, and by understanding that, obviously you will be better at protecting and defending those areas of the business. So looking at those particular areas and those particular examples, we know global cybercrime is on the rise. That slide earlier with those massive data breaches, just some ridiculous numbers. Here's some examples over the last few years of a number of attacks, from the Clearview attack to Office of the personal management data breach. You know, all of these attacks, there's different reasons behind these attacks. Some are financially motivated. Obviously, you know, Bangladeshi bank heist, the Swift banking hack, you know, obviously very clearly financially motivated attacks. Okay. There are attacks that are not financially motivated: hacktivism, political, industrial espionage. Okay, ultimately that is financial gain, but you know what they're trying to do is they're not actually directly trying to steal money. They're taking the intellectual property, especially with the race for vaccines, you know, in the current pandemic. So, you know, some examples there from the region. You know, hackers accused of Russian hits 3 Polish and Ukrainian companies. Sometimes when cyber criminals launch these attacks, they're not really that they are targeted. However, the fallout can extend globally. You know, they may have been after 1 or 2 companies. However, you know, plenty of other people will get and can get caught up in those attacks. So, you know, what are we doing? What are governments doing to defend against this? So, you know, there are plenty of global initiatives. You know, Polish PM a couple of years ago approved a brand new cybersecurity strategy to last until 2024. You know, also, it's not what you can do, it's about the people that you work with. Again, Polish Prime Minister, he's looking to allies to beef up their cybersecurity, because you know we're all in this together. You know, we can only fight this by fighting together. Why do we need to fight together? Because you know there's so many opportunities for threat actors to get into systems. A few years back, there was an example of 1,400 airline passengers stuck on the runway because of an attack on Polish airport. Okay, telecoms companies suffering data breaches because these criminals are looking for data, because data and knowledge is power and it has monetary value. So these are just some of the relevant cases. Now, one of the things that we touched on earlier was the OT, so operational technology and IoT. Now, what does that matter? Well, when you attach or connect something to the internet, it's then exposed. Its exploits are exposed. The vulnerabilities are exposed. Now, no matter what that device, that product is, be it a traffic light, be it a gondola, be it heating controls. I'm just about to have a new boiler installed, and I'm going to have a smart thermostat that I can control from my phone. So that's going to open up a new attack vector for anybody that wants to, heat or cool my house for me. So, we need to look at these connectivities, these devices, these, heavy industries, and look at how we can stop the exploits. One example is a number of years ago, there was, I don't know if anybody recalls, there was a huge cyber attack on the Sony Entertainment Company. It was all to do with a film that they'd released focused around North Korea. Now, that received enormous press coverage because Sony is it's an entertainment company. It's known globally. It's a household name. It took down their entire network. Their employees were plunged into the dark ages. They couldn't use their computers. They were using pen and paper. They couldn't even use their telephone systems. Was anybody hurt? Was anybody injured? No. It was a massive disruption to the company, though. But very interestingly, the same year, there was a breach in Germany on a steel mill where they were producing industrial grade steel in their blast furnaces. The breach took place, and it's been widely known that that was one of the first incidences where real world physical damage had occurred through a cyber attack. They managed to infiltrate the industrial control systems, and they managed to override them on the Bessemer converter in the steel mill, and it actually shut the mill down, but it caused real world physical damage. So these attacks are getting more prevalent, more dangerous. I think last year there was an example again in Germany where cyber criminals attacked, so they thought, a university. However, it was a university hospital with ransomware, and very, very unfortunately, an ambulance was on their way to that hospital with an emergency case. They were directed to a different hospital because their systems, they were locked out of their systems. And very unfortunately, the lady that was in that ambulance actually passed away. So that's been sort of recognized as the first potential death from a known cyber attack. So, we need to wake up and, and counteract these threats. So, why should you look at, the CEH program? Why should you look at EC Council certifications? We were the first in the world to coin the Certified Ethical Hacker program, or that terminology. As you see, we have the most comprehensive program. We have hundreds of subject matter experts globally. These are people that are in jobs that are CISOs, they are in network, they are security admins, they are in these roles, and they are producing these subject matters. They're helping us with these programs. Our programs are designed to be the most hands-on. Almost half of the CEH program is designed with a hands-on practical experience, which you'll get to see shortly, thanks to Dominic. We have endorsements from the likes of the US government. We have endorsements and recognitions throughout industry. We have an academic program. We're working with universities to train and certify the next generation in cybersecurity specialists. And more importantly, we are vendor agnostic. Okay, so lots of people aspire to be CCNEs, MSCPs, but there's nothing wrong with those technologies, with those certifications. They build on huge amounts of experience and knowledge. But at the end of the day, cyber criminals don't care whether it's a Cisco, an HP, an Aruba, a Fortinet, Microsoft. And that's where we have that vendor agnostic recognition. We teach you the skills, the way to attack and the way to defend these infrastructures, no matter what their operating systems are. So with that comes the end of my presentation. I hope that's been informative for you, and I hope that you've gained a little bit more of an insight into EC Council, the CEH program, as well as the other programs and domains that we run. I'd like to open the floor. If anybody has any questions, please feel free to answer them, ask them away. I will do my best to answer, and Dominic, perhaps you may need to translate for me. So please, anybody, any questions, feel free.
I see one question from our audience. Simon, you can say something about the certified secure computer user. So security awareness training, the most easy one.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Dominic. That's a very good point. We have not only these technical certifications, but we also have, as Dominic pointed out, we have our Certified Secure Computer User. So that's the CSCU. Now, that particular certification, that particular domain, is aimed at anybody that uses a computer and the internet extensively for work or play. Now, that statement is a very broad statement, and it essentially covers pretty much all of us. Okay, it will teach you, it will show you how to be a safer person online. From very small things on things like how to choose a very good password. Okay, also how to be safer online, how to spot scams, phishing scams, how to be safe on the internet. Little things like when you get up from your desk and walk away, lock your computer. The number of times that I've seen people walk away from desks and leave their computers open. It may seem a little thing, but by doing those little things. The CSCU, the Certified Secure Computer User, is aimed at non-technical people. So anybody that uses a computer, anybody that uses the internet will benefit from this course. And as I said, it's not a very technical course. So that's our most basic and less sort of technical course. So anybody obviously interested in that, thinks that they have people within your company that could benefit from that, again, please get in touch with Dominic and the team. They'll be happy to provide you with that information, because at the face of it, you guys are you are the defenders, you are the ethical hackers, and looking at these exploits and vulnerabilities. But we all have a part to play in securing our digital architecture. So anybody that can go through and sit this course will benefit, not only in their personal lives, but also from an employee, from a company point.
My extent to this question, does the certification for the common user apply to some compliance with some government requirements anywhere? Is this certification is recognizable from the requirements perspective?
So when you look at our certification tracks, they're not, in that aspect, they are not recognized with regards to PCI requirements, ISO requirements, etc. However, within those areas, PCI, ISO, consultancy, etc., within those areas, there are requirements for things such as security awareness. Okay. So, in order to be PCI compliant, in order to be ISO 27001 compliant, employees of the company must attend security awareness training. So where our technical certification side of the business doesn't cover that area, there are other avenues from EC Council technology stack that I mentioned right at the beginning, with our phishing simulation awareness, security awareness program. So those areas, if you're looking for compliance, there are constructs within that technology where you can be compliant with those particular areas. Again, if you're looking for further information, obviously, please reach out to Dominic and the team.
Yeah, from my perspective, I think we have some government requirements to train the people, office people, about security awareness. But to train is the one thing, but to check if they know, if they understood what was presented, that's the different perspective. And I think it could be a good a good way to check if people are aware, and not only to
Yes.
talk to them, but to have some kind of exam for them to verify where we should work a little bit more. Maybe everything is okay, but maybe we have some issues with knowledge, with understanding, and we have to repeat some things. Okay.
It goes back to the CEH, where you have the knowledge and then the CEH practical. You know, you're testing that knowledge within the security awareness platform. You have the ability to test the individuals, train the individuals, and then test them again afterwards. And by doing things like the certified secure computer user, obviously, you know, that's giving them that knowledge and experience that they will need.
Yeah. The next question: do you have a level up from basic course for people that want to start working in cybersecurity? So I think if I understand this question, it's a question about from zero to hero, yeah, and the entry level is the CEH. It's not extremely advanced course. You don't have to have a programming background. So we start explaining how network sessions are built. We start with terminology. What is an exploit? What is a payload? What is red hat, black hat, white hat, gray hat? And if you are familiar with IT, if you work in IT industry, but you didn't have experience with cybersecurity, the CEH is a great starting point. I am aware that there are a huge amount of materials, but the training is on basic level. It's an introduction to offensive cybersecurity. So if you want to go to level up, then you will go to CPAD, and there at the CPAD you have to have quite good knowledge background related to even hacking, because on CPAD you should be familiar with many terminology and with many technologies. Yeah, if you work already as a pen tester, I think CPAD would be a better choice than CEH. Unless you don't have CEH certification yet, because to achieve a CEH certification, you have to attend CEH course. Or you should. Maybe there is a little exception from this rule. If you work hard for few years, and if you are able to document everything, you can put your CV to EC Council, and maybe after they will check you, maybe they will give you opportunity to pass an exam without any training. But the payment for exam is almost the same as payment for training, where you have voucher for exam, when you have materials, and when you have 5 days for doing labs and listen to the theory. So when we look at CEH training, it's half of time as we spend on theory. We will not able to cover everything in details, because of it's only 5-day course, and the second part, the half of time we spend on a lab environment, when you can build your technical ground for your work. I think that's the point. Okay, one guy is asking, I think, about exam content for CH. Why do I have to memorize so many switches in Nmap command? Yeah, I know you have a manual, and when you work with Nmap, you can use an man Nmap command and read all those parameters. But well, when you do the labs a few times, you will memorize it. So the exam, from my perspective, the exam will verify if you did it few times or you only watch the show. Yeah, I'm familiar that some question could be creepy, or you can think about they are strange because we have those knowledge in documentations. Yeah, but from the second side, we have to ask about, or EC Council have to ask about something on the exam. Yeah, so on theoretical exam. So yeah, a lot of questions related to parameters, to comments, and technology as well. Am I right, Simon?
Yes, indeed. Because the exam is ANSI accredited, we have to make sure that all the required fields have been covered. As Dominic said, there's a huge amount of material within the course itself, and as fantastic a trainer as Dominic is, that there is just far too much material to go through within the course of a 5-day boot camp. So the questions are tailored to make sure that as much of the material has been covered as is possible. So within the course, obviously there's a certain amount of extracurricular work that needs to be performed, I believe.
Thank you. And a question from Maciej. Czy kurs będzie płatny? Czy będzie dostępny dla każdego pracownika, który chce wyrazić chęć uczestnictwa? Czas kursu, jaki jest przewidywany? I teraz pytanie, o który kurs chodzi? Jeśli chodzi o kurs cech, szkolenie cech, to jest to szkolenie jak najbardziej płatne, 5-dniowe, i w cenie zawarte są i dostęp do materiałów elektronicznych, i voucher na egzamin, także de facto jakbyście mieli osobno sobie kupić ze sklepu EC Councila materiały, by przygotować się do szkolenia, do egzaminu, i voucher na egzamin, to wyjdzie to Was drożej niż całe szkolenie, w którym to wszystko jest. Szkolenie można potraktować jako taką wartość dodaną do tego zakupu. Tak to wygląda. A jeśli chodzi o kurs związany z bezpiecznym użytkownikiem, ten 2-dniowy, bo nie wiem, o który kurs było pytanie, to jak najbardziej też on jest płatny, 2-dniowy. U nas w ofercie, zdaje się, tu koledzy zaraz pewnie wrzucą linka do tego szkolenia, gdzie można u nas nabyć, i w tym kursie od razu zawarty jest też voucher dla użytkowników końcowych. To pytanie do Macieja, czy to na pewno chodziło o cecha, czy co o secure user, chyba że pytanie jeszcze o Cepenta, bo tutaj wszystkie kursy są oczywiście płatne. Nie widzę rozwinięcia pytania, więc zakładam, że odpowiedziałem. Ogólne pytanie. Pytanie, czy egzaminy mogą być zdalnie? Yes, they can be passed remotely. If you want to pass remotely, what you have to do? After the training, when you receive the voucher for exam, you have to contact us to upgrade this. You have to contact EC Council to upgrade this voucher to remote proctoring. It's not for free. As far as I remember, the cost is $100, $100. So yes, and you have to pay this because EC Council give the control of this exam to the external company, and someone will have to watch at you through the webcam during all exam. You have to have a clean desk, you have to have empty room, there cannot be anyone else in this room during the exam session, and yeah, I think that's the most important things. So you have to buy an upgrade, and you have to have a prepared room, the place where you will attend this exam.
One other thing to add to that, Dominic, is you're absolutely right. The remote proctor service is actually provided by EC Council now. So we have our own remote proctoring service. So once you purchase your upgrade, you then get in touch with the remote proctoring team to schedule when to sit your exam. For the CEH, for those that would like to also, for the same cost, you can upgrade the exam to be taken at a Pearson VUE Center. So those basically are the options. So you get the exam voucher included in the course, and that is for sitting classroom exam proctored at Altcom. But obviously, due to the pandemic, we've set up our own remote proctoring service.
Jeśli chodzi o możliwość zdawania egzaminu bez dodatkowych opłat, moi drodzy, czyli przyjście na samo szkolenie i jak już wam firma, czy sami zapłacicie za to szkolenie, przejdziecie szkolenie i dostaniecie voucher na egzamin, a nie chcielibyście dodatkowych ponosić kosztów tak dużych jak $100 z tym remote proctoringiem, to można u nas zdawać w Warszawie, w ośrodku w Warszawie. Póki co, ze względu na koronawirusa mamy ograniczone działanie w wielu ośrodkach i póki co w Warszawie można u nas zdawać egzaminy ze ścieżek EC Council. Jesteśmy autoryzowanym centrum egzaminacyjnym ECC i to trzeba się wtedy bezpośrednio zgłosić do Warszawy, ale wtedy nie musicie się martwić o wolne pomieszczenie, o to, żeby nikt nie wszedł w czasie egzaminu, czy też nic nie będzie instalowane na waszym sprzęcie, bo podczas zdalnego egzaminu na waszym komputerze na chwilę, na czas egzaminu będzie zainstalowane, będziecie musieli uruchomić program, który da możliwość wglądu proktorowi, czyli temu, kto was pilnuje na egzaminie, czy nie uruchamiacie w międzyczasie, nie wiem, przeglądarki z boku i nie szukacie jakichś podpowiedzi, czy nie otwieracie jakiegoś PDF-a z dokumentacją, czy po prostu nie ściągacie, tak? Te rzeczy są monitorowane, a wiem, że nie każdy lubi, jak firma zewnętrzna wrzuca jakiś soft, który na chwilę daje może nie pełną kontrolę, ale pełen wgląd w cały system wasz, tak? No, można mieć przygotowany oczywiście laptop dedykowany do takiego zadania gdzieś tam z boku, czy komputerek, ale nie każdy ma takie możliwości, a jak nie chcielibyście instalacji dodatkowego softu od Remote Proctora, no to moja sugestia jest taka, że możecie przyjść na egzamin w Warszawie, tam się umówić, tak? Będziecie na naszym sprzęcie sami w salce, ze spokojem, cisza, mogli sobie podejść do egzaminu. Is it possible to use personal notes? Nie. Jest jeszcze jedno pytanie, tak. Czy można używać notek? No, there is no such possibility. You don't have any additional notes. You have to be familiar with every domain that is touched on the exam. So you have to be prepared. Dziękuję wszystkim za uczestnictwo. Simon probably will say hello to everyone also.
Yes, thank you everybody for your time. I appreciate you taking your time out. Those of you that are going on to do the iLabs, it's a great experience. You will gain a lot from it. So enjoy it. Those that have any other questions, obviously, please do reach out to Dominic and the team. And thank you, Dominic, for the opportunity to speak with everybody.
Thank you, everyone.